Come on. I want to introduce my. I, I I know Gilberto. We used to work together at previous company. He is going to introduce the our robot framework, and I really like it as well. So please welcome Gilberto. Okay. I'll put the slides. Okay, so it's my turn now. So, what I'm gonna do, what I do is actually do some well, do a demo. But first of all, I want to get an idea of the audience here. How many of you are working in automation, Upwork in automation? Just a hands up. Okay, like 1/3 people. And how about QA? Are you guys all are working in QA or planning to work in QA? Okay. Okay, so that way I can know how fast should I go. Should I go to straight into writing some code so you can see it? Oh, another question: how many of you guys have seen Go framework? So yeah, 1/4 people. Okay, so basically, I have worked with many different frameworks. It's not necessarily that I prefer Go framework, although it's really good. But sometimes you might like to work in a different framework. But out of all the frameworks I have seen, they all basically are just components. Let me just explain to you what the framework is. Well, let me just start with the proposed agenda that I'm trying to do today. Basically, I'm gonna try to go over is brief introduction of the framework, how the test scripts are executed, writing a test case, and organizing the test case. That's pretty much what I wanted to see if I can cover today. So I'm going to start with the framework. Many of you guys, I know you asked interview questions. Some of the interview questions I have also seen is that when you ask someone, what is a framework, what is an automation framework, many of them have different ideas of what a framework is, or they don't know exactly what it is, or you find a tool that says a framework, because Google Framework has the word framework, not necessarily means it's the entire framework of automation. So basically, automation framework, let's forget about this for now. It's composed of many parts. One is you have to have a structure of how you're going to organize your objects, your scripts, test scripts. You have to have some kind of writing style, whether you write it in writing test cases or learning styles, and very popular. Or it's also have to have a runner. You mentioned After it's a runner to you can select what test cases, organize which test cases to run. It has the runner has you also have to have some kind of assertions, some kind of testing, and that's what most of the JUnit libraries of the frameworks you have seen testing, JUnit, CUnit, Objective-C. There's a SD test. Explain with that. So there's pretty much any programming language has its own testing framework, and what is it is basically is a way of run your scripts to selectively create groups of test cases and do some functionality before you start running a test case, and give you assertions so you can validate some data and your checkpoints on your test case. But role framework here, now I'm going to start talking about this part of the role framework. It's a generic automation framework. What that means is it's not necessarily just for web applications. It could be used for many different other parts. Like you can use it for pretty much. You can use it for testing the middle part of the pyramid, the API. You can use it for probably not unit testing. You can use it for other testing, for doing testing your email applications. You can use it for TCP protocols. You can use it for desktop applications. And so it's not necessarily just for web applications. So that's why it's the generic comes from it's called basically for accepting tests as a user acceptance test. It's an open source, which is great. Not big. It's independent of the operating system. Its main at the core of the framework is developed in Python. Runs on also in Java or Iron Python. Basically, what that means is that you can write your scripts also in Java or .NET if you like to do so, with some tweaking that you have to do. And what's great is it has a really great ecosystem that there's many people are contributing to the libraries to Go framework. So it is growing quite a bit. There's I think there's pretty much a new library every month. I think I have seen. So what the libraries basically are just components that get added to the Go framework, so you can maybe automate instead of the web application, you automate a SSH connection, for example, or many other parts. There's it has its own syntax. And I will go over more in details about that. So here's where I would like to do a demo, but I think I will do that later because there will be more time. I want to get to first get you an idea of what the syntax is, and also how to get started using this tool and how it will benefit you. So it's very simple to install. Like I say, it runs it's because it's built on Python. You can install Python 3 or Python 2.7. It works on both, but probably wanted to switch to Python 3. It only requires 2 packages. The raw framework, that's the core of the framework, and then the Selenium library. And right now, what I'm going to do is give you a demo of how to automate a web application, because I think that's the most popular and most common way that you probably will be doing some automation of a web application. There's many IDs I can use. Basically, it's all text files. So anywhere you can write text, I just recommend I use a PyCharm because it has those what's it called? It auto-populates your keywords, your functions, and it's easier to create scripts with an ID. The command line. So basically, you can be run through a command. So you can run through a command line. It's all part of this just running this tool, this robot plus the name of test file that you want to run. So with the command, there's a lot of configuration you can do before you run it. So you can insert some variables for runtime, or you can configure how the reporting is going to come out. There's a lot of settings, but it's just to give you an idea. It's very flexible. One thing I like about Go Framework is that it's all within. It's a tool that it becomes everything within a package. Many probably have seen it that when you, for example, I have created a automation frameworks where it involves Java, then you have to have the SNG, then Selenium, and some type of reporting tool. So you have to integrate all that so you can create your framework. And then you have to create how you're gonna write your test cases, how you're gonna put your common files in one place, your libraries in a different place, and so on. This it makes it very simple because all is in one package. You have to be putting configuring a runner to select what test cases you want to run and so on. It makes it a lot simpler. So it's I like it. It's a really fast. If you wanted to deliver an automation, you have to automate something. It's really fast to get that started. It's very flexible. You can expand it. You can do so much with it because you can write within Python's programming language or scripting language. But not necessarily just Python. You can run in any language that you like. So that's what makes it very robust and very. I think it's very powerful what it can be done. So this is how how would typically look like in Go framework. In this case, divided in I like to call it sections. In the documentation says tables, but it probably makes more sense if I call it sections. You have this section table, which is the settings. Basically, that's where you will import your libraries, whatever language you're going to be using for your test scripts. I will say more a little more libraries. It has another section where you can get write your test setup and takedowns to handle that. And the bottom part is where you actually write your test case. So this style basically test cases. It's a workflow style where you have step 1 to the end, and at the very end you just verify what the end result of your workflow has to be. So here's an example. Basically how it looks like a hello world, most popular. So in this settings, you see this weird syntax. It's gonna add at the beginning when I first saw this Go framework. I couldn't get used to the syntax because it was like English. And also used to writing code like has to be when you have variables, you have functions in most cases, or you have pointers. Or so here the syntax it might look weird because it's little. So here these settings where you import a library and import this library called operating system. A variable, this is actually looks weird, the code. We have this squiggly brackets with the dollar sign. And basically, once you get used to the syntax, it will be a lot easier to write code, to write this type of test cases. So here I just created a variable. Just remember that's how a variable is created. It's kind of like it's not Bash uses this a lot. So it has a variable message, so it's hello world. And keywords, basically keywords, what it is just functions. That's another way how to look at it. You can create a keyword, which is basically a function that the name of the function plus the definition of what the function is going to do is underneath it. The part which is arguments, that's the input, that's an argument where you can pass your parameters and it gets stored into this variable. Here's the test case how it looks like. So first is the name of the test case is called my test. There within every table, what I mean table is section. Every section has its own so it's all settings that you can do. In this case, where it says my test case, my test, and then it has this documentation with this brackets. That is basically is settings for this test case. Is that documentation is just letting the runner know that this is a documentation. This is just a comment to document this test case. The first, that after the documentation, the other line is log. That is what it's doing is calling a function called log and passing in this variable from this variable message. The message contains hello world. Log, what it's doing is logging the message into the log. The world framework creates when it runs a test case, it creates a log. That's part of the output. So here, what I think is best to do an example instead of going through all this syntax, and see how it works and how easy we can create a test case. You can also write a working style given when then format. You can also this is how typically a test case will look like. Log in, log out. So you have enter an email address, which is your email, and then password, and click on log in and log out. So let me connect my computer and actually give you an example. I think it helps better. Well, for me, I actually like to see by example than just going over PowerPoint. So, okay, it's just I'll take it just a moment. So I'm running PyCharm.
Can you share the screen?
Oh, sure.
Just get there, right? This one. Yeah. Okay, and all right, you good? Okay.
readable, so you can so it's visible to see what is actually getting tested. Um, so those keywords are those functionalities. Page should contain this link. Function these keywords. your keyword. Second column is another parameter. Third column is another parameter. How do you know how much spacing you put in? As long as it has 2 or more spacing, that's all it is. I just try to put it nicely organized in one column, but doesn't matter how many spaces I put in. It's all the framework takes care of that parsing. Once I run it, what it does is it generates a report. Let me show you what the report looks like. Well, I cannot exit out of the screen, so I'm just going to copy this. So it generates a report on this location. This is how the report looks like. It's not. Hopefully you guys can see. The screen he passed one test case. The test case name was called Google search test. You can drill down into the specifics. If you have a suite, it will display all the test cases within your suite of test cases, and whether you can put tags on the test cases, or you can group them by doing a smoke test or regression test, or you can categorize your test cases or create your own suite of test cases you want to run for a specific environment or functionality. It gives you all that flexibility. Now, this is the other part that I like. When I usually work with many frameworks, the harder part of maintaining automation is, or giving the resources, understanding where the fail happened. If a test case failed, why did it fail, or where exactly it failed? And sometimes it's really hard. You have to run it in your local machine, step through it to see where exactly it's failing, or keep going back and forth and trying to see why is it failing at this specific time. That usually is very hard. And what I like about this framework is it gives you a lot of information about the report. You can drill down specifically every function, every keyword, and know where which step it failed. I'm gonna count it as a failure so you can see what I'm talking about. So here, here's the steps of that we executed. Basically, is open the browser, input the text, exactly what I had in my script. This is what is on the report. But it has you can click on any keyword and view exactly what it did, the time that it took, and what exactly it did. And in this case, clicking element is not so much you can view, other than all it did is click an element with this name equals some property BT and K. Page to contain, that's what is validating. The current page contains this link. Current page contains link, and it did pass. So let's modify it so we can see what will happen if we eliminate around time. Let's set instead of looking for the page should contain this link, we're looking for the page should contain James Bond Jr. or something. So that I expect it's not going to be a part of the Google search. It shouldn't find that. So if I run that, hopefully it will fail. I think it fell, which is good, but I don't think it fell where it's supposed to fell. So we have this failure test case. So I'm going to refresh my report. So here it gives you it failed on this clicking, and so it failed in a different part. It's not, it didn't fail on validating that the result contained change plan, but it failed on clicking the search button because of the, probably saw that I had this the menu of the items that can be typing in Google search bar. So it couldn't click here. So it says here element could not find. That's pretty common. You always get that in your framework. But it also takes care of handling the picture. I give you a picture of what happened. So clicking element, this element was not visible when that. So at that instance, we were trying to click this element is not actually, it gives you more detail. Element is not interactable. So it wasn't that it's not found. It's just it was blocked. It was being blocked by another, or we couldn't interact with that element at that moment. So that's what I like. It's all within a box. It gives you everything that you need, so you can start doing the automation. So it's, I think it's a great tool, and it's very flexible. You can do so much once you start. You can also write your own libraries and any programming language. And another demo, and to make it more complicated. So here's where the reports are stored in this directory. I created this other test script. So let me see if we can zoom in. Here is more of how it's gonna probably look, your test script will look like. We will have some before the test case starts to run, it will probably have some setup that needs to be done. Sometimes you probably will need to create data so you can use it to test your scenario. So you can either do it through a database or whatever you need to do. So that will be part of the test setup, and then you have to many times you probably need to clean it up. So you could call a function, a keyword to close. In this case, it's just all it is doing the test setup. It's just opening the browser to the application that we want to test, and then closing that browser. But you can expand and create more if it's needed for the test setup or tear down. Here in this case, what we're doing is going to the website, Bluebeam website. We're just going to click a random image that is an engineer image. So what is doing is clicking this image, engineer image, fill out the trial form, whatever that means. Check out, so it's filling out some form and then clicking on complete download, and download should fail. That's, I think it's pretty readable, but it's up to you how you write your test case to make it readable. You're the one who will be defining those keywords. So let me select this. Okay. Oh, yeah. So fill up the form. What it's doing, fill up the trial form. All it's doing is entering the, switching to the iframe. This page actually contains an iframe. You're familiar with that. You have to switch within frames. So this, in this case, we'll switch into that specific iframe of that application. We enter in the first name, last name, work email, and checking and clicking on a checkbox. That was defining fill out trial form. If you see here, fill out trial form, its definition is here. Now, what is the definition of enter first name and enter last name? That is another library that I created, and we can zoom into that. This is in a different file. So you try to modularize your script so you can create modules functions that you're going to be using to create your test cases. So here, lower level is enter first name. In this case, is all it's doing is input text at this specific element, and this is the text as entering first name. Now, if I were to see what is input text, where that is defined, that is coming from the Selenium library. That's as low as I can go. I could even zoom into that input text. Or maybe I can. Oh yeah. So this is how it's been defined within Python, but this is not something that we will modify. It is part of the library. Trying to navigate through this. Okay, so I'm just going to run my test case. So let's go into the website Bluebeam. Clicks at that icon, image, inputs some data, and it failed. Well, it's supposed to fail. It's verifying that it shouldn't download the file if I were to click at that download button. And it was very fast, so it was hard to see. So in this case, it passed because that was the expected result. And if I were to see the results, the report, it's very hard to navigate with one hand. Maybe microphone. Oh, it's okay. So exit. So here's the results for the test run that we did. So here you will see you can span every step of the test case. First part of the test case is the name of the test case. Download a free 30-day trial review test. This software. All it's doing is click on the image. Engineer, if you see this is the low level keyword that's coming from the Selenium library. Click on image, and I just putting in engineer image. So I didn't have to specify the locator, how to find that element, like put CSS or ID or XPath. So the framework itself takes care of going through many different, it has an algorithm to go through many different ways of locating the element. If it finds one, it will use that. So in here, all I did is type in the name of that image. It was called engineered image. So that's all I did there. And you can drill down specifically on every keyword and see where exactly is happening. If something failed, you can find out exactly where it failed and will capture a screenshot for you at that specific instance of that keyword. So it's very flexible, it's readable, it has everything in one package. I think, and it's very powerful once you integrate it with many other programming languages, which I have done it, and you can pretty much automate many things. And that's all I wanted to show.
All right. Well,
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So,
yeah.
I have a question about this.
Come back.
Framework.
Yeah.
So if I do something like testing the same page on different browsers, or I want to use different input data, can it be imported from somewhere?
yeah, of course. So you can definitely have a configuration file where you can specify. So here's what I understand. If I wanted to test something in many different browsers, so two different parts to this question. One is you can definitely run the same workflow, the same sequence steps that you want to do, but with different data.
Yes.
So you can definitely, I didn't have time to show it, but you can definitely create what is called a data-driven test case, where basically you create a function that will be supplying the data to the test case. And the framework itself will take care of running for each sequence of data, for each row of data, for example. So you can either use, just type it in there if it's only just a few cases, but you can obviously import a file if that is, you have a lot of data to run to. Now, as far as running multiple browsers, whenever I run the my script, one of the when I show the command how you run it, you can actually during runtime you can insert variables. One of the variables that maybe you notice when I put it had open browser, the link of the browser, and then Chrome. That could be a variable, or you can specify during runtime which browser you want to run. So in that the framework takes care of that. So during runtime, you can pass in variables to replace it with other
So
variables.
it will go from steps, test one browser, then follow with another one.
Yes, correct.
It iterates.
Yes. So in that case, you can do this test driven where you would write this many so let's suppose we have 5 browsers. For every run this test case with this specific variable, that variable is a browser. That browser will be Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and so on. So it will take care of looping that through all those.
And the third question is, if something unexpected is on the web page, but something very important that should be logged in. So for instance, the robot was going through the some workflow on the web page, and instantly the error occurred, and for instance, there is a stuck trace. Can it be somehow captured?
The specific, what do you mean, the image? I'm sorry, didn't quite understand. Capture like the
capture
error?
the specific text from the web page and put it into the logs.
Like a screenshot or like
It doesn't matter. It might be a screenshot or text.
Okay, so you can definitely customize it. For example, whenever if a keyword failed, you wanted to log something. So you can definitely control what is logging. One of the very first statement I put it log. The first example I was doing hello world, where I put log hello world. I'm basically what that was doing. I was logging hello world into the report that I was showing. So you can customize it that it has keyword that whenever a failure happens, whenever the test step fails, it will execute this specific keyword, and you can provide what is it that you want to log.
But can I actually bypass something that appears on the screen to the logs?
like a,
Like if there is a
So
click
extract
button,
the text, yeah?
and
So extract the text.
yes, if I click a button and there is an error with stack trace.
mhm.
Well,
I think probably to be generic, probably you want to dump the whole source of the page. You can
Yes.
definitely do that. You
Okay.
can dump the whole
Yeah,
HTML source. It will do that. Actually, in some cases it does it for you, but whenever the page doesn't render, it will dump that for you, and so you can do that. Yes.
So it can be dumped only after rendering, after being rendered.
No. So
Before,
there's
at
let me show you.
the moment of loading.
I think you're saying it happens automatically. So you can always dump it. You have
Yeah.
access to the whole.
So there's a specific keyword that says to log. I can't remember exactly explain what, but there's a specific keyword to log the source
Okay.
of the page. So you can just call that, and you can call it within your function that will take care of any failure. Execute this keyword, log the HTML content, the source of the page. So that is definitely doable, and it's already implemented. It's already functions for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How robot framework compares to Cucumber?
Okay. So Cucumber, it depends how you view Cucumber. If you just referring to writing Gherkin style, that you can define a given when then that type of test scripts you want to write it in that format, and you can definitely do so. That is available. I went really fast, but one of the slides had that that you can definitely write it there. So, and in some words, they have used a raw framework to write in Gherkin style. Yes, so you can be done. Now, as far as comparing it, writing scenarios that you want to do this futures of in Cucumber, that kind of, it's a different tool, so it has a different format how the test case is executed, and the reporting is also different.
Which case is a robot framework that Cucumber is a framework? Are there any cases which robot framework has an effect?
Okay, so the main advantage that I particularly like about Raw Framework is that it's within a package. Cucumber, you have to, it is a, depending, you have, if you bind to some programming language, popular Java or many other languages, and it doesn't, well, I guess that question is, as far as what's the advantage, I always think that any tool it really matters how you structure your automation, how you do your test cases, what are you testing, whether you're testing end to end or just a specific one specific function of the application. So it's really actually what that determines is how you actually implement it yourself. I think how you use it, whether it is appropriate or whether you're doing it right or not, because any tool could be wrong if you don't use it right. So it's not one answer I could just tell you right away.
Let's do the last question.
Yeah.
We're running out.
Okay, one more question. Oh.
Your
What is the advantage of using this framework
For
over the other?
others, well, the main advantage that I was saying is it's very flexible. It's readable. It has this reporting that is easy to read. So you don't have to do the stack trace of finding out exactly where it fell. I think that's the best parts that I like. That it's all within the package right out the box. You can start using it.
All right, thank you very much, Roberto.
All right, we have
have a couple more minutes. I wanna say that we do Test Pro, guys. There are 3 of us. We started a QA Automation Bootcamp here in LA. It's going to start on March 16th. If you, especially like many of QAs, if you are, this is for you. You can ask about this program more, Dennis and Azad, those people in white t-shirts.